What's up guys, and welcome back to a Pokemon Sun and Moon coverage video, and today, once again, we are going to be talking about Lillie. Lillie, the assistant to Professor Kukui, who we don't know a whole lot about and has some mysterious past. Now, we spoke about in the Flower Theory video how she could have possible ties to Kalos, or possibly to Sycamore or even Lysandra, since Lillie and Lysandra are based on the same type of flower. It's just sort of a link there. But she's certainly not from the Alola region because she has a different skin tone. You know, clothes don't really fit as well. And of course she has this nice travelling bag, which we think, okay, maybe, it'll be like clothes and stuff, hence she used to come over to the Alola region to sort of, live for a bit, whatever, help out Kukui. Hence why she's got a travelling bag. However, in the latest sort of gameplay footage for Sun and Moon, what we saw at E3, there is hints that there's more to this bag than meets the eye. What I'm talking about is at some sort of point, you arrive at the village where you're about to have a festival, and you speak with Hao as well as Hala, and then also Kukui and Lillie appear. And Lillie asks Kukui a question, something about asks what the festival's about, sort of thing. But before Kukui can answer, we get this pew, and the Lillie's bag moves about a little, and she sort of reacts to it, as you can see here. But no one actually says anything about it. Now, whether this is because you don't know what it is, so it's a secret to everyone, and even Kukui might not know what there's something in there. No one reacts to it. It's sort of put aside. However, when we were watching the gameplay, it was mentioned. And when I first saw this, I thought, oh, she's got a Rowlet, or something simple like that. However, they spoke about it slightly, people that were presenting, and they said that they couldn't talk about the bag for some reason. We don't exactly know why. But they couldn't talk about it. So it seems like there's more than meets the eye, and there's a deeper mystery to this bag. So what are the options? Well, as I mentioned, my first sort of thought was, oh, Rowlet's in there. I don't know why you keep a flying bird in a bag. However, I thought, okay, Rowlet's in there. Why Rowlet? Well, we saw during the gameplay, obviously the trainer for this, the trainer doing the game, the quick playthrough, had chosen Poplio as the starter, and we also saw that Hao chooses the starter that's weak to yours, so he'd chosen Litten, so Rowlet would be the only sort of, one left over. And as we've seen in previous games, the remaining sort of rival gets, the last Pokemon. For example, in Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, if you choose Chimchar, your rival chooses Squirtle, but Dawn has the Turtwig. Even though she doesn't choose it at the same time, she always has the other ones left over. Same sort of thing happens in Black and White. Obviously, the three, you and your two friends all choose the three starters, so they're all sort of accounted for. And in the Kalos region, none of that really matters. I think you get your rival, but then there's like the third one's just left on its own. But it hasn't been done before. So my first thought here was, oh yeah, it'd be Rowlet in the bag. I don't know what'd be in the bag, but Rowlet's in there. First up, it's the right size. Rowlet is 1 foot. And it's 3.3 pounds, so I guess you could put it in a bag. It's not a huge Pokemon, you could easily stuff it in a travelling bag and hold it there. Why it would be in the bag, we don't know, but however, the cry is completely wrong. When Pokemon do, when you have cries from Pokemon in-game, they'll make the sound of the cry, and you also have the small text along the bottom. Now, as you can see for the sort of, we can assume it's a Pokemon in the bag, because what else would it be in the bag? This Pokemon makes us a cry that's similar to pew, pew. So, okay, but then Rowlet, if we see from the first trailer, Sun and Moon, it makes a sound of goo, goo, because obviously it's an owl. So it's not exactly the same cry, and they do tend to keep it fairly consistent across all the Pokemon games, sort of, at least in the same game. If it's the same Pokemon, they'll have the same cry, so at least in text form you guys get the idea there. So unfortunately, it's less likely that it's Rowlet, because also the fact, why would you put it in a bag if everyone knows you've got a Rowlet? So it seems like it's obviously a deeper mystery. Another option I saw people sort of talking about online on Reddit and such was that she has Magiana in the bag. This is a bit of an interesting one. Possibly, people are thinking, oh yeah, that's how we could, able to get Magiana in the games. Now, generally, Magiana is a mythical Pokemon, so it wouldn't have too many ties to the main storyline. Magiana will be available in Sun and Moon via a QR code, but we don't exactly know how it's going to work. But I guess Lily's bag will be one way to do it. You get the QR code and you just learn that Lillie has Magiana. As well as this, we also had the second video come out at E3, which was a reveal of 3 new Pokemon, Pikipek, Grubbin, and Yungoos, as well as sort of more details on Battle Royale, as well as Magiana and Magiana's new ability. And when we had the reveal here, Magiana's cry was actually sort of used in the video when Magiana is revealed, and I'll let you guys listen to the cry a few times here. Obviously music is in the background, so it's not the best, but hopefully you guys can pull it out of that. So that's Magiana's cry. Now of course in the gameplay, this mystery Pokemon also does some sort of audio cry as well as this text cry, so we can listen to that and compare them. Obviously bear in mind this is taken from the gameplay video, so of course there are people talking over it, so there is a slight sort of person speaking Japanese over the top, but hopefully you sort of listen in the background for the sound once more. So you can hear here the one from the one of the mystery Pokemon is sort of a more sort of like a background like jingle almost, whereas Magiana's cry is more of a mechanical cry almost. Not quite mechanical because obviously it's a steel fairy type, so it needs to have some mysticality to it, of gears almost, whereas the one in the gameplay trailer is more of a little jingle, so it doesn't really quite fit as well. I mean, it could if you were sort of going to contrive it a bit, but if they were going to have it be Magiana, why not have it be the exact same cry? As well as this, of course, we have to find out if Magiana could actually fit inside the bag. Now the bag is not a huge bag, but it's a decent sized bag, and Magiana is 3 foot 3 inches tall, so it's 3 times the size of Rowlet, but you could still fit it in the bag if you wanted to, although Magiana would be lying sideways, which is not the best for it. But as well as this, Magiana's weight is 177.5 pounds, so if you think Lily's going to be able to carry that around all the time, I think you're in for a surprise. But of course, Pokemon games don't always obey by logic. Pokemon aren't the same size exactly in the overworld and such, so take that with a pinch of salt. But it would still be a bit weird to have a full mythical legendary in the bag around the start of the game. So what's the other option here? Well, I'm going to throw it out there. Lillie has a Zygarde core in her bag. Now Zygarde Core is the basic version of Zygarde. It's the brains of Zygarde. Every Zygarde has a Zygarde Core inside it, as goes the lore from Zed basically. So Zygarde Core is a very basic form of Zygarde, and it can then take in power from Zygarde cells, which are similar to cores but deactivated and don't really do anything, to change into obviously 10% Zygarde form, 50% Zygarde form, and obviously complete Zygarde. So why, obviously, first up we'll look at the cry, because from the anime we do have a form of cry for Zygarde Core. It's not a Pokemon in itself, because obviously there's no data on the Pokedex in the anime for it, but in the game it's unknown whether it would be itself a Pokemon. It can use moves in some sense, obviously it can transform and use them, but I don't think it's been seen using moves in its exact core form. It's just been seen jumping around basically. So whether it be a full Pokemon in the games or not, but it would likely have some form of cry, so let's listen to the cry from Zygarde Core in the anime. This isn't exactly a cry, of course, it is more of a sort of a noise it makes. And you can tell it's sort of very like human-like, almost. It's like, it's not exactly how you would imagine a a Pokemon cry to be. And obviously later on in the anime, you see Zygarde Core actually speaking to the other Zygarde Core, the blue one, and they do speak and such. So it's a bit different. So obviously if they were going to have the cry in the game, it would be slightly different, but let's just compare those two cries again. So the one from the bag shaking video, and then the one from the Zygarde Core. And I'll just let you compare them. Obviously it's not exactly the same, it's not like, oh yeah, it's an exact match. The one in the bag again is more mystical, whereas the anime one is more of a but of course the anime is known for having basically cries that are like Pika and I don't know, Jar, Charmander. Whereas obviously the games are known for having none of that apart from the Pika introducing X and Y or whatever. So if they were going to make that anime cry into a game cry, it would be understandable for it to change slightly. But that seems to be the closest we've seen. It's closer than the Magiana cry in my opinion, of course. Now, is Zygarde Core sort of suitable to hold in a bag? Well, we see in the anime, see here's Bonnie holding the Zygarde Core. She can hold it in her hands. It's easy enough to hold. It's obviously not very heavy. Even though we have no exact measurements for it, we can tell it's pretty small. But it does also have enough sort of power to move the bag around, as you see in some episodes of the anime. Zygarde Core does jump around a bit, so it's plausible for it to be able to move the bag. And the biggest kicker is, okay, so would Zygarde Core be happy sitting in a bag? Obviously not perfectly happy since it's jumping around here. But where does Zygarde core spend a lot of its time when it's travelling in the anime? Yeah, that's right, in Bonnie's bag. In her bag, so it would not be a long stretch to think about how, Lillie might have it in her bag. So, what might this mean? Well, Lillie might have travelled from the Kalos region with this Zygarde core to try and solve a mystery for Zygarde, who knows? Maybe the Zygarde core is a friend of hers, similar to how Bonnie has adopted the Zygarde core in the anime. It's a possibility, of course, and she might be sort of, that's her personal region for coming to the Alola region to try and figure out how, maybe Zygarde core is being chased by someone, who knows, or it needs to solve its own mysteries, who knows? But it's possible Zygarde core is in Lillie's bag and it might come out at some point in the storyline. Let me know what you think about this little, I guess I'll call it a theory, or ideas in general. What do you think is in Lillie's bag? Do you think it's a Zygarde core, or do you think it's just some other random Pokemon? Or what else do you think it is? What is it? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.